Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing good. Okay, so today we're going to be covering the Page of Wands for the definition. I know normally I would cover two cards at a time, but I figured I'll just cover one card at a time in order to really um, give the comprehensive meaning of each individual card. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and explain a little bit about the Page of Wands. So, okay, so the Page of Wands is a social card. Whenever you see him in a reading, some people, first off, some people don't always see it as a male. They see it as a unisex card. I'm not really going to get into it from that angle. Because I just feel it's a little too limiting. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this that the Page of Wands is most importantly is a very outgoing page. He is a wand, so he's more motivated, he's energetic, he's creative, and being a page, he's also very young. And like I was saying, it doesn't it's not limited to being a male or a little boy. It's just a quality, like for instance, you could be a grown woman and have the qualities of the Page of Wands. You have a thirst for you have a thirst to socialize and to mingle and get to know people and be relatively outgoing and engaged. So I can't just say it indicates an outgoing boy. It doesn't really work like that. Maybe if you ask in a reading, if you were to ask what type of person, if you want to know male versus female, or what age group, then we can look at it, examine it at that angle in a reading. But if you're not asking about anything regarding that, then don't look at it from that lens. Don't see it like that. um yeah, so I know tarot is very subjective. It's very in depth, but um yeah, okay. So the Page of Wands is, again, if you were to, let's say, do a reading and it showed up in the future, the future position, I would say this can indicate either a conversation or a phone call or a text or something that indicates communication, because there's that reaching out, the desire to communicate. This is a communication card. And so if ever I were to see Page of Wands, for instance, if somebody wants to know, oh, will he or she ever call me? Will they call me? Page of Wands is pretty much a sure, it's a yes. I would say it's a yes. As you know, if it was um, in the past position, that basically indicates a phone call or a conversation which took place, but it's already happened. And if it's in the present position, I would interpret it, and this is in a social slash romantic type reading. So if you're asking about things regarding your social life or your love life, things like that, I would say that the Page of Wands indicates having a healthy communicative relationship with somebody. Like that's what's going on, or that they could be saying that's the type of person that you are. Something that's related to the present, something that you're currently dealing with. And that's what I'm getting here, with the Page of Wands. So, okay, so I'm trying to think of anything else I can explain about the Page of Wands. If you were to look at the Page of Wands in the work related area, this would be a really good card to have because it means things are going good. I don't see it as bad because if you have this in a reading, it basically means you get along with people. You know, the Page of Wands is a friendly, energetic, positive. He's positive. He's a positive person. Um, you know, and you know, if you're the type that reads the cards in reversed, I don't usually do it, but let's say you did look at him reversed, you know, um, that would mean that would basically mean you know, lack of motivation or uh, you know, immaturity or something like that. You know what I mean? Immaturity, um, lack of motivation, lack of energy. Maybe the energy is misdirected, you know, things like that. Maybe there is energy, but it's, you know, it's not, you know, it's not being used in the right way. You know, um, it's a, you know, it's perverse. It's not used correctly. Things like that. And, you know, I would also say that, if you're the type of person that reads up or down, I would say, you know, wands are pretty useful, you know, because it can tell you if the energy is, you know, high or low and things like that. So yeah, but okay, so back to seeing the Page of Wands upright. Okay, so in career and work, it is good because it means that, you know, if maybe if you're not at a job right now, let's say you know, you're focusing on your just your career in general, like what you want to be, you know, when you grow up or what you want to do in the future. The Page of Wands stands for getting the, you know, juices going. You know, you're being proactive, you're passionate, and that's good. But like, you know, like I've always said in my lessons, you know, you can't really say much else about it. It's kind of like looking at this one card is basically like putting, it's like one word in a sentence. You know, you can give an answer in one sentence, but you can't give an answer with one word, you know, and it's kind of like that. You know, you'd have to look at other cards to see what that means, in terms of career. Like if you see the Page of Wands and he's next to, let's say he's next to, let me think. I'm trying to think of a card he could be next to. Let's say, oh, like the Four of Cups. Okay, he lacks energy. The Four of Cups. If the Four of Cups is next to the Page of Wands, I would say, okay, initially, the Four of Cups means there was the apathy, you know, a lack of motivation, but now you're back on track and you're, you know, you're really motivated again, you know, things like that. And in order to know, you know, if you're asking things like in terms of work, what you want to be, you know, what you're thinking of what you want to do, like you're literally drawing a blank. You want to work and you have the mindset to work, but you don't know what you want to do, you know, something like that. The Page of Wands, on by itself, the vocations associated with the Page of Wands, I would say would be things like journalism or just something more creative or um, artistic, you know, like an entrepreneur, something really independent as well. I would focus on things that are very, you know, require more talking, um, you know, things like that. But I would I would sort of steer clear of like really serious type professions if you're if your reading is saying to focus on Page of Wands type of um, vocations, like I don't see the Page of Wands indicating, like to be a doctor or um, you know what I mean, or like a lawyer or something serious. I mean, this is sort of like a more playful type of card, and so something that's more creative, so you want to stick to something that's creative and something that maybe requires some talking. Like to a degree, business is creative. You have to have the entrepreneurial, innovative, side. And Page of Wands, I think of inventors, things like that. Okay, so that's what I get for that's what I think of when I examine and I see the Page of Wands in terms of career and work. Things are going pretty good. I don't really see this as a stressful type card. It's not, it doesn't have any of that. It's a fun, exciting card, full of motivation, and that's, good, always good to see. And, you got it. Depending on what's, nearby, it can tell you whether this motivation is coming or going and what you've dealt with, so and it doesn't really indicate any amount of money. So if you want to discuss finances, I would say you'd have to do a little more than just pulling out the Page of Wands to know what that really means. I mean, the Page of Wands would only mean something like um, it would only mean the motivation to make money, or you're not in a situation where you're that stressed about it. Those are the things that come to mind whenever I see the Page of Wands. I don't really see it as any indicator of your status, with where you're at in terms of my, like, okay, um let me give an example. If somebody were to ask, oh, I want to know if my financial situation will ever improve. Well, if you get the Page of Wands as your outcome, that doesn't really say much other than it's showing a snapshot of you motivated about making more money. But what does that really mean? Does that mean that you're gonna have money? Does that mean you'd have to, um, look at, the other cards. If your reading is more about guidance, then there's no need to ask for more cards, because the Page of Wands is a guiding card. It's about, it operates through, it tells you what to do, in other words. The Page of Wands is calling upon you to be motivated, to be enthusiastic about things. So be enthusiastic about making money. Take a creative approach to making money. Don't look at it as, oh, you just have to make money through a 9 to 5 job. And think of other ways to make money. That's what the Page of Wands is really out to say. He's saying use your creative side. Maybe you can sell paintings. Maybe you can, do a little bit of creativity to maybe you could invent something, if you're really creative. So that's what that means. Okay, so I'm thinking of God. I was trying to say something and I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. Okay, oh yeah, um, about the finances again. So if you are if you're more the type to want to use the cards to, I guess this would be kind of like a more like a fortune telling aspect to tarot reading. But if you're actually looking to find where you'll be at by a certain time frame, like, oh, where am I going to be at in like 6 months from now, and you see the Page of Wands and you want to know in terms of your finances how you're going to be doing, this really wouldn't say much, except that you're focused on making more money. And you'd have to look at other cards. Like, say, if you had, for instance, the Seven of Pentacles lying next to him, or in the same position, because sometimes people put like multiple positions on, multiple cards on like just one position. If that were to show up, then that um, that would mean that you are progressing by this point, but you're still motivated. You're rolling it in. The money's rolling in, and you're still in the process of making it, and you're very passionate about what you're doing. Things like that. And that's how I would see it if I saw the Seven of Pentacles right next to the Page of Wands. But that's just, one example. There's so many different variations and possibilities. But yeah, so that's how I would break it down with the Page of Wands. So it's a little tricky to interpret because I've always found court cards to be really hard. I always struggle with those because you don't know whether to look at it like it's a person or if it's a quality you need to emulate or let go of, and if it's saying it's indicative, it's like an archetype, it could just be saying what you should be feeling at a certain point. It's a whole range of ways to look at it. So that's why I feel court cards are a little tricky. Um, just to let you know, whenever I do get court cards, by the way, I always do this for some reason. I'm always inclined to just pull out one more card for a little more help because I always find them to be a little bit, you know, not vague, but they just kind of, you know, don't really tell you much. It kind of leaves the story as like a blank. You can't really draw a conclusive ending when you get a court card for an outcome, let's say. So yeah, so I'm gonna uh, I'm gonna go do the Knight of Wands for the next lesson, and just stay tuned. And so this is my definition of the Page of Wands. And if you have any questions, and you need me to clarify, let me know, and I would be glad to help. Okay, have a great one. Take care.